I mean, for me, without my vitality, I'm nothing. The way I live my life is geared predominantly to my vitality.
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting because I think it largely comes out of my experience in professional sport on a number of levels. First of all, my own vitality, physically in good shape, financially in good shape. You know, like you said, got the glittering career and the role that everybody thinks you're a legend for having. But exhausted. You know, you're sleep deprived. Your mental health starting to suffer. You don't have the fulfillment. And so there's this acknowledgement that vitality covers your whole well-being. And our limiting factor within that is different. Mine might be my mental health. Yours might be that your knee hurts.
Yeah.
Right. And either one.
My sleep shit.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And it could be any part of your lifestyle, including your leadership and your career work. Right. And so that's really where the role as the performance director and my own lived experience fed into Vitality Collective.
So welcome to the pod. Today I'm in Santa Barbara, the US, living the dream. And I'm with my mate, Dr. Jeremy Bettle. Really excited to interview Jeremy today. Jeremy is a former performance director in professional US sport. We'll find out about his career soon. And he decided to leave his role as performance director 5 years ago to embark on a journey of self-discovery, but also he's become a vitality coach within Santa Barbara. The reason I wanted to speak to Jeremy really is because his story is similar to mine in the sense of the top of his game in professional sport, everything going well from the outside looking in, but on the inside it wasn't going so well and he had to jump and he had to really be true to himself. So I commend him for that and I'm really looking forward to digging into that. Jeremy, so good to get you on the pod, mate. How are you today?
Yeah, Craig, so good to be here, and I really appreciate you having me on. I guess it wouldn't be a conversation with you if I wasn't truthful. This week's been a struggle.
Yeah.
You know, mentally, internally. It's been a real battle. You know, I think that comes with the natural ups and downs of starting a company.
Yeah.
You know, my wife and I are founding Vitality Collective, and you know, it comes with its struggles.
Yeah, for sure. We'll dig into that. Just to let the audience know that we met in Peru.
That's right.
For the first time.
Yeah.
Jeremy was part of Iconic, my 7-month leadership program. And the in-person component of that was a retreat in Peru. We had an incredible time. And I've known Jeremy since then and really kind of been admiring him from afar and the way he lives his life. Jeremy, I want to go into the juice. And at any time you want, if it feels right for you to talk about where you were raised or your childhood, just feel free to do that. But I don't want to be like a typical podcast where we, you know, what was it like growing up? If that's relevant, you go into it. I want to go into the juice of your career and then quickly move on to why you left professional sport, because from the outside looking in, it's a young man's dream, isn't it?
Right.
Tell us a little bit about your career as a strength and conditioning coach and then a performance director.
Yeah, it's really interesting journey and an amazing journey, really. You know, I think I fell in love with the human body when I was studying GCSE PE back at Lutterworth Grammar School.
Me too.
in back in the day in like mid-90s, and I'd been an avid rugby player. I was quite good at rugby, but then as time went on, I knew I wasn't going to be a professional player. Right. And so how do you stay involved? And I think as many of us who reach that point in our careers, sports science is really a way to continue that involvement. Yeah. And so my journey was up to Leeds, where I did my my undergrad work, and then to David Lloyd's in Leicester as a personal training coach. Yeah. And just really knew that there must be more. So that brought me over to the States, to Nashville, Tennessee. Did my master's and PhD.
Wow, how did you get that contact? So you're in the UK and then you get a job in the States. How did that happen?
Well, it was for grad school, actually. So it wasn't a job. and that was 2003, actually right as the World Cup was going on. So, back in the England's glory days. My dad had actually moved to the States when I was around 9 years old, and he had settled in Nashville. And so when we were talking, after I'd done with my undergrad, he suggested, well, why don't you come over to the States and do a master's? There's a program near me, and you can come over and do that. So that's what transpired. Pretty quick transition over there, and just loved like that next level of academic study and learning and expanding that knowledge base so much more. Because really, I'd developed a thirst for growth and knowledge in that area. And then they invited me back over to do the PhD. So halfway through the master's, do you want to stay on and extend your studies? And God, it was a dream come true.
Amazing.
But what I did know, Craig, is that I didn't want to be in academics. The thought of learning it and then teaching it, learning some more and teaching it never really appealed to me. I wanted to go out and really get my hands dirty and apply that knowledge. I loved working with athletes, loved being an athlete and being in the team environment. And so really quickly I went to USA Rugby, did the 2007 World Cup, which was...
you never told me that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, great experience. And we played against England and South Africa,
great.
So
Wonderful.
what a dream for a young rugby player, and early in my career to get to watch sort of your idols play and be a real part of that tournament.
Where was that World Cup?
France.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So we had a great time.
And then?
So then what I realized was your athletes are injured basically all the time, right? So, and I didn't really have that side of the education. How do you modify programs? How do you have the guy that's he's not out, he can play, he can train, he can be in the gym, but his shoulder hurts when he does bench press. So how do you modify that program? And I really felt like I needed some experience in that field. So I got out of strength and conditioning and went to work in post-rehab for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And while I was doing that, actually right down the street, I pointed out to you, there's a performance facility here. And they were using advanced biomechanics to design programs. Again, something that was intuitive, have some data to drive your programming, but they were really the sort of first people doing it here and really successfully.
So did you come to Santa Barbara to continue your PhD, or did you just want to live in Santa Barbara?
Yeah, well, that's why I came for the post-rehab stuff.
Got it.
One of the physios with USA worked out here, had some clinics,
Yeah.
and said, why don't you come out and see what we're doing?
Cool.
So came out for that. It was a pretty short conversation with Michelle, as you can imagine. And so we loved it.
Great.
Yeah. And then once that had run its course, I felt like I'd got everything I needed from that. Then the head strength coach job up at UCSB came open. So NCAA Division I sport in US college sport, 500 athletes, 11 teams.
Oh, wow.
That's 11 teams, 11 different sports,
Wow.
men's and women's.
Yeah.
So you really just the richness of your experience every day. And there's only 2 strength coaches for those 500 athletes.
No.
So you're just getting so much experience.
Wow.
Every half an hour, 30 athletes are showing up.
Yeah.
And it could be baseball or it could be volleyball, and next it's water polo, and next it's track and field, right? So you just get such a great diversity of experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many years did you spend there?
Was about 3 years there. Yeah. And then and that's when the opportunity to move into the pros came up. So I got my opportunity to go out to New York and work with the Nets in the NBA.
Yeah.
I was the director of strength conditioning and nutrition.
Wow. So you moved from Santa Barbara to live in New York?
So live in New York in January, which is not a move you should do. Like 2 steps off the plane and there's a 60-degree temperature swing and you just...
But tell me about the job. Tell me about living in New York. How was that?
Oh, mate, the job, I mean, first of all, it's a dream, right? You know, you get to be in the NBA. Growing up, you know, in the UK, you'd just seen it on TV and it just looked like show business.
Yeah.
And it is. You know, it really lived up to the billing. I loved the job. Loved the players. They're just so athletic, so personable, you know, some characters.
Yeah.
Amazing different backgrounds, such diversity. So it was a wonderful job. Really, really enjoyed it. The travel was incredible. The hotels were incredible.
Yeah.
like watching the sport.
How old were you in that job?
Would have
when you got that job?
just turned 30.
Okay.
Yeah, so still young in my
so
career.
you're still young. You're kind of first big gig. You're loving the razzmatazz of it. You're loving the connection. You're loving the athleticism of the guys. You're in a state of wonderment.
Yes.
I get it because I've been there myself for sure. You're living in New York.
Yeah.
You're living the dream, really. Aren't
Exactly
you? A lad
right.
from Leicester.
Yeah.
Playing rugby, and then all of a sudden you're head of S&C in New York.
And we're moving over to Brooklyn. So we moved from New Jersey to Brooklyn, and it's the first pro team that's going into Brooklyn, and that borough has an edge, and it was a cool club. All of the tracksuits were all really cool. It wasn't like your run of the mill sportswear. So
wow,
it was wonderful, and my gran put it best. It was like, well, that's Jeremy on his way now. And that's how it felt.
Yeah,
you'd really taken off.
Yeah, I was in Brooklyn on this trip, actually. I was in Brooklyn about 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Saw every human expression that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I loved it, but I couldn't live
there. Yeah, same.
Okay, so you're at the top of your game.
Yeah.
New York Nets, living the dream. I guess you're just having fun. You're not asking any deep questions yet. You're just having fun. What next?
So next up is the Toronto Maple Leafs. So switch from the NBA to the National Hockey League. Mm-hmm. So go into ice hockey. First real exposure to hockey. And a profoundly different culture. And the role changed now. So I've gone from strength and conditioning to performance director, where I'm overseeing everything that touched the athletes.
Excuse me. So different sport, different club, but you see it as an upgrade.
Exactly right. Yeah, so they'd reached out during the playoffs, the NBA playoffs that year, that they were starting this process of hiring a performance director. It was going to be the first performance director in the National Hockey League at the biggest club in the NHL. So huge role, and a lot of responsibility to really reimagine how they were approaching human performance. And so you go into a very traditional environment, a very traditional setting, and you're tasked with organizational change as much as you are implementing sports science.
Yeah.
So how do you get people who are very good at their jobs, from coaches to GMs to your practitioners on the floor, how do you get them to change how they're practicing and adopt this new system?
Okay.
So the first real exposure to behavior change versus, I've got the best plan, so everyone will listen to me.
Okay.
You very quickly find out that is not the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, I just want to see where we're at here. You're at the New York Nets, S&C coach.
Yeah.
You're coaching.
Yeah.
Athletes are pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you're loving it because you see how beautiful they move, they can lift, they can jump high.
Yes.
But then you've been, because you're good at what you do, you've been put into a director position.
That's right.
Where now it's more about system, structure, and managing staff. What were some of the challenges you faced? Because that's often a challenge when in corporate and sport, you've been good at a certain role, and then as a reward, you're upgraded into a role that involves actually managing people, and it doesn't always work out.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right.
How was it for you?
It was, it was an interesting change because it's not something we're ever really trained for or prepared for in our roles. It's not like you're in a mentorship program where they're training you for that in leadership skills. So I'd done a lot of my own personal reading and personal development throughout my career that I think helped me with it. But again, very quickly you realize, and I didn't think this was going to be the case, but your relationship with the players changed.
Okay.
So you've gone from being really somebody they confide in.
Yeah.
Like a lot of guys would be there very early in the morning, just as you're setting up the weight room, and they'd want to sit and just get stuff off their chest. You're almost the first aider for psychology for them was, you're the first person they've told they're getting a divorce or that something is going wrong in their life. So I really enjoyed that connection with the players and felt like they trusted me.
Yeah.
As you move a step closer to management, now there's an inherent mistrust built in. So you've gone from hands-on to hands-off? Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've hired an entire staff. I've hired strength coaches, hired physios, athletic trainers, all these these people that are going to be implementing the system. And my job's really to run the technology and manage the system.
Okay.
And so that changing dynamic was really hard for me.
So you felt connected at the Nets, and then you felt a bit more disconnected at the new place.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt much more isolated.
Your sense of belonging was challenged.
Yeah, both with the players and within the organization.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
because it's also a new role in sport at that time, certainly in North American sport. It was present in maybe some in the UK and in the Olympic structures, but this was the first role in hockey. And so you also didn't really fit in any of the buckets. So your management, but you're not a GM or an assistant GM, you're not a scout, you're not a coach, and you're not staff anymore. So it's quite an isolated role where you don't really get to connect a lot, and you certainly don't get to talk, if you're having any struggles yourself.
Yeah, okay.
Because who do you pull aside? Not your staff.
Yeah.
And you're not really, part of the other
You
groups.
lasted a good few years, though, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I was in the NHL overall about 7 years.
Sorry, 7 years. How many years in Toronto?
Toronto was just shy of 5 years.
And then?
Then Anaheim, 2 years as we went through COVID.
Is that in Canada as well?
Yeah, no, so that's down here in California.
Okay. But
Yeah,
so
so
the same
leaving,
league?
same league, yeah. Yeah, leaving Toronto was really about getting back to some sunshine for Michelle.
Got it.
Yeah, it was really hard on her.
I want to go into. I mean, me and you were former coaches, and we can talk all day about coaching, can't we?
Yeah.
I want to go into some juice here.
Yeah.
I'm aware that there's a little bit of a struggle at the Toronto Maple Leafs because you're in a different role. You feel isolated. Your sense of belonging is challenged. Maybe you've not got the friendships that you had in the Nets, and that can be a struggle. But when did your internal struggles begin? Where you're asking yourself these questions. Is this for me? Is this what life's about? Okay, this is prestigious, but does it serve me? Does it serve my soul? Am I integral here with what I'm really meant to be doing in this world? When did those questions come? Because I know that they came, didn't they?
Oh, they absolutely came. And honestly, at the Nets, they'd already started, but I think they were misplaced. Like my questions were misplaced, or what I was blaming for those feelings was misplaced.
Okay.
It was a lot of it was facing external. It's because this guy's hard to work with, or the environment. If I can implement my system, I'd feel better. It's always when I achieve this, I'll be happy.
Yeah. So okay. So just to get clear here, because I think it's similar to my experience that I had. At the Nets in your 30s, you all already started to ask some big questions, and the feelings associated with those big questions are not easy to feel.
Right.
Maybe anger, frustration, etc., irritation. And the first kind of response to that is projecting painful feelings on the external world, right?
Correct.
Because I remember in my own life where I head to, I'm performance director in Wales. I head to Thailand. I do a yoga retreat. It turns me upside down, changes all my values. I come back. I know I've got to leave the job because life isn't the same again. But I don't. I just project all my anger onto the sport. Rugby's this and rugby's that instead of facing my own shit.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that happened to you?
Absolutely.
When did it intensify?
So I think some of those struggles continued, and I was working with Keith, who my coach throughout that period. Yeah. And we were more working on how to be in that environment and almost withstand it, because they're quite hostile environments as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bullying. There's a lot of very sort of direct, what is sort of under the guise of honesty. But
commander types.
Yeah, but it's not honesty, it's cruelty. And so there's a lot of that that's directed at both the staff and the players. Right. From management, coaches, and all around the environment, really. And so I've been working with Keith about how to deal with the difficult people, how to deal with the environment. But that started to turn in on myself probably a couple years into Toronto. Yeah. And then when we left and went to Anaheim, that was a particularly difficult time. It didn't go well. and so your whole identity starts to get challenged.
Yeah.
And then that was the point I started realizing that what I'd been chasing was success as it was perceived from the outside.
Yes.
And if I get enough validation,
Yeah.
I'll feel better, you know.
Yeah.
And if I
Yeah.
get a bigger role or a bigger pay rise or
Yeah.
you know, whatever it might be, if I keep climbing the ladder, I'll feel whole or you know worthy or
Yeah.
whatever
Or
it
you'll
is.
keep patching over the pain
Exactly
with a new
right.
contract.
Exactly right. And that external validation, that's when it started to
Yeah.
fall away.
Uh-huh.
And so now what have you got?
Yeah. Also, in terms of your experience in basketball and hockey, we've had a discussion already. You know, you're a coach, you want to develop people and help people, but there's so many fucking games.
Yes.
It's like, when did you realize that you're not actually coaching anymore? You're just patching people up, you're just traveling with the team, you're doing the odd rehab session,
Yeah.
you're becoming a glorified warm-up coach. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, I didn't train for this. When did you realize that?
I think it started a couple of years in with the Nets. We had a decent culture. We had some guys who lifted. We had some really good veteran players who really valued lifting. So I was getting to coach. But then as we started, you know, getting into this with hockey, and this is a collision sport, right? So like rugby, they've got to be pretty robust players.
Yeah.
And all of your development's done in the off season, but you're not actually allowed to talk to them in the off season. They've got their own coaches and their own
got
people,
it.
and so they show up how they show up. Then you've got a very short period of training camp before your preseason starts, and then you get into it. And what we found was it was maintenance.
Yeah.
What they came in with, you were trying to, where you could get little touches, but it might have been 15 to 20 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Or you might go on a road trip for 3 weeks and you've got a bag of bands and a hallway and 25 players. So
Yeah.
what do you do?
Okay.
And
So you've ticked the box of high profile US sport.
Yeah.
All your mates in the UK think you're lucky,
Yeah.
but you realise it's not all it's
Yeah.
meant to be. Yeah.
Yeah. So then the next step was the Major League Soccer. Because I think, well, maybe I just, after COVID and we weren't traveling, you know, there was a bit of a break there for me of like, wow, this is what life's like. And so I thought if I went into soccer and we went to playing once a week, which turns out it wasn't. But then I'd have more time at home and a bit more space and be happier. But I think by that time, I'd realized that there were always going to be constraints on how I could work with the players, right? There's always a belief system, both within the sport, the club, and then the coach has got his ideas or the GM about how the players need to be prepared. So you're always operating under some sort of restriction. And so we just won the cup, MLS Cup with New York City, which was fantastic experience. And then we were here in Santa Barbara for preseason. And we were hiking up in the hills here with a buddy of mine and sat at the top, and I've got the Pacific Ocean laid out there and the Channel Islands, and it's just beautiful. And I just sat at the top and I'm like, man, what am I doing? What am I doing? Michelle sat at home, as she has been, you know, for 15 years.
Yeah.
She's scraping snow off the car in New York. I'm here in beautiful sunshine without her, just having these experiences in isolation. So there was a couple of thoughts there. I need to be living my life and stop kicking the can down the road. I need to be valuing this time, being able to go and hike and see friends and connect. But also I need to be in an environment now where I get to decide how we work with people. And so came down the mountain, called Michelle, said, do you want to get out and move back to Santa Barbara?
Okay, pivotal moment. You're at the top of the mountain with your mate and you have a realization, what the fuck am I doing with my life? I know that really well. I remember I was performance director of the Welsh Rugby Union team, and now I'm in Thailand at the end of a yoga retreat, and I think, what am I doing? And I also realised at that time that it's not just like a sudden realisation. I realised, hang on a minute, I've been feeling like this for a while, and I've just been covering it up with, you're in sport, just be proud of yourself, be happy.
Yeah.
You've got a nice car, you live near the beach, prestigious job, all your mates love you. But really, I hadn't been good for a while.
Mm-hmm.
When you have that realization, if you rewind, I don't know, the previous year, what internally was going on for you that you couldn't speak about, or you had to wear a mask to cover up?
All of those things. I'd been challenged for the first time with that probably 2 to 3 years earlier.
Yeah.
And it's fear.
Mm.
You've been so immersed in this environment. You've built this fabulous career, glittering career, huge success. And what else am I going to do?
Mm.
Like, I don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah.
And so you're really facing this terrifying prospect of having to completely shift your whole career. You uproot everything. And you go from such structure, and I'm probably jumping to after being out of sport now, but you go from this structured environment, and I heard, Sean Long on your podcast talking about it as well. It's almost military.
Yeah.
Every minute of your day.
You're about to jump into the unknown. It's scary, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, terrifying, mate. Yeah, absolutely terrifying. But it was terrifying all the way along, realizing that that's what had to happen. But you think, oh, well, maybe a different role, or a different club, it'll be better.
Yeah.
And I think when I was at the top of the mountain there, that was the realization that now I've done international rugby, I've done the private sector, I've done NBA, NHL, MLS.
And you got your PhD?
Got my PhD. And they're all the same. You switch out the cast of characters, and there's always some uniqueness to the culture, but underlying it all are the principles that are all the same.
Yeah.
And so I think that was the time I realized that for my own evolution, for my own development and my own calling, okay, another role's not going to do it.
Yeah.
A promotion's not going to do it. I need to go and do something drastic.
And I'm also guessing in those roles, you were so damn busy that you didn't see much of Michelle, and you felt like a slave. Would that be right? You felt like a slave to the organisations?
Yeah, absolutely.
Me too.
Yeah.
It happened to me.
You
In professional rugby, it's probably the same in sports over here. They still give you a medal for the long hours that you work. You know what I mean? The guys that are in at 6 a.m, home at 6, they're the best guys,
Absolutely.
They're great guys.
Well, and
it's like a pat on the back for working
it's
70 hours a week.
Like we had one coach who would get to the rink at 5:30 in the morning. Well, so then all his assistants had to as well. And so you'd walk in at 7 or 8, and you'd get the chirp, oh, good afternoon, thanks for coming, And so everybody started drifting earlier and earlier.
Yeah.
Because there's this presenteeism where also like a lack of productivity. Like if I can see you're working.
For sure.
Not, if I'm not on the field or at the rink for practice, I'm in my office actually doing work. No, you just take the day off today, did you?
Yeah.
Always little jabs, little comments.
Yeah.
So that it was grinding.
Of course.
It was hard work.
Got a question for you. The answer might be no. It wasn't in my case, although every time I do a podcast like this, it crystallizes. So for me, an underlying reason why I started to ask big questions, am I in the right role? Am I living according to what's important? Was that my father died. So sometimes did anything happen in your life that led to you asking questions? Somebody got sick, or somebody lost a job, or something happened in your family system, or something that promoted this, or was it just?
There was nothing too close to me. Like one of the things, up in Toronto, Michelle struggled immensely with seasonal depression, and the winter's so long, days are short, grey clouds sitting over you the whole time. So she really, really struggled. So that was a really challenging part of the career where I got to see firsthand how my career was affecting Michelle, because we would get out, right? You get to see the blue sky every time you got on a plane, which was 3 times a week.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you'd play down in Florida or in California. So you were always, I always got to get out, and she's run our life outside of my career. And so that was really hard on her especially. So there was that, but then away from the family, you just start to see how little people mean to the organizations. A lot is expected in terms of loyalty from the staff, but when the organization is done with you, they're done with you. Like that day, your role's filled tomorrow. And what exemplified it for me was a strength coach in the NFL died in his weight room, had a heart attack.
Wow.
This was when I was in Anaheim. And that was a moment when I was like, I realized how much I'd been kicking down the road.
Yeah.
And just thought, man, if I die in one of these weight rooms and I haven't traveled to Greece like I promised Michelle we would, I'll be so pissed off.
Yeah,
you know?
of course.
So yeah, there's some moments like that. But I think they were building in my life all along.
Let's talk about the jump. Because, you know, whether it's sport or whether it's corporate or whether it's a relationship that's not serving us, most of us experience in life the calling to jump. This is not right for me. It doesn't serve me. I've given it my best shot. In fact, I give it more than my best shot. I know I've got to jump, but I'm shit scared. Talk to me about, I remember the time I actually told Warren Gatland, the head coach of Wales, I went into his office, I said, Gats, you've probably been feeling this for a while, mate, I'm done. I said, I'm fucking done. I'll never work full-time in rugby ever again, and I've not. Tell me about the time when you actually made that announcement and you decided to jump.
Yeah, the sporting director at New York, David Lee, he'd only hired me a year before, almost exactly a year ago. And he was a little nervous about hiring me. You know, I was coming in from a quote unquote bigger league and bigger paycheck. So I took a pay cut to go to New York, and he was a little nervous about that. And then a year later, I got to call him up and tell him, you know, I'm not happy. I got to get out. Mate, my heart was in my mouth.
Yeah,
you know, I didn't want to make the call. Nervous about letting him down, you know, because he's a great guy and had been a really good manager and a good mentor for me. But it was just time.
Yeah.
You know, I think it helped that it wasn't, you know, I'm leaving to go to the club down the street, that I'm getting out of sport altogether.
Yeah.
So it helped him accept that.
Yeah.
But still, you know, he wasn't happy. It wasn't like, you know, I get it, you know.
Yeah.
No problem, whatever's best for you.
Yeah.
He's still pretty pissed off at you, and
right.
You know, so it was a challenging moment, but it was necessary.
Yeah. I don't know about you. For me, when I made that jump, initially, it was a relief, a big, big relief. I'm glad I did that. But then the struggles come, don't they?
Yeah.
How was that for you going into the unknown?
Initially, yes, pretty straightforward, because I jumped out into a role with a technology startup that never started up.
Right.
And so I think an error that I made was bringing pro sport into that role. You know, at the computer early, on Zoom calls, like 9 Zoom calls a day, you know, feeling like I had to be very present. I didn't adjust to the new environment, you know, just got right into it with the same intensity. And found that quite hard to go from, you're around 50 to 100 people all day, every day, a lot of banter, a very loose environment. You know, people think pro sport's going to be very buttoned down, but actually within the walls, it's quite loose and a lot of fun. And then you're sitting on your own in front of a computer screen on Zoom calls all day, every day. So that was a huge transitional moment where you're just like, oh my God, like this is not the same. You know?
Of course.
Yeah, that was really tough. And then, mate, also your identity's gone.
Yeah.
All of the external validation that was dumped on you for the last 20 years, it feels like you've been through a process of who you are has been stripped away, because you're putting so much into your career. You've given up any hobbies. You don't go and, you rarely go out for dinner, with your missus, and all of the things you enjoyed before that have fallen off. And so when you come out, now you start getting into this, well, who am I?
Yeah.
Right? And nobody's patting you on the back. No one wants to talk to you at a party. you know?
I know there was a lot of stripping away for you because you've told me about that before.
Yeah.
I also know there was some low points for you. Talk to me about your lowest point.
I think there's been a number of them. I don't think that I could probably isolate one. As recently as this week, told you earlier, like fell into a black hole this week.
Yeah.
And I think it's getting used to the lack of structure and the lack of validation for anything you're doing. You're doing it in a void, right? You're building a company, and you're just building and building and building and building. And at some point, I assume somebody will validate the process that you've been going through. But you've got to do so much self-validation through this process.
Yeah.
And your identity's fallen away, your structure's fallen away, how you think of yourself in terms of your physicality. You've had access to a gym for 20 years and now all of a sudden you don't. So a lot of stuff like that. And I think it steered me really into start addressing some of the patterns that I've developed and learned in childhood and had to address them.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the thing about building Vitality Collective is that it's a purifying process. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs will recognize that, in that if your own stuff is getting in the way, your business isn't going to start. So it's really accelerated the process, starting with Peru.
Yeah.
The process of identifying and addressing my own internal world.
Yeah. Starts with you, right?
It absolutely does. And your own self-worth. It can't flow to you if you don't feel worthy of it.
In the stripping away of identity, obviously the void appears. It's the unknown again. It's the abyss.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
What appeared from the void that was new, though, in you? What did you learn about yourself? What deepened in you? What came forth?
I think an inner strength to be resilient, or really a recognition of your resilience. Because maybe you didn't think of yourself as, you always had these external structures and deadlines, but every challenge that's been put in front of me and Michelle, we've had a moment of doubt, but we've figured it out and we've transcended it. So really that inner resilience and that inner strength to persevere. What we're currently working on right now is that you're not your feelings. It really doesn't matter how you feel in the morning. You've just got to get up and get into your routine. And, it's not perfect. We still have our days where we don't, but more often than not now, we feel shitty. We still have our 8 o'clock meeting. We still have this, we have our coffee together in the morning. And so we're building in a bit more time for one another. But that's it really, is how we face the day.
In that void of identity loss, what arose for me was the cultivation of my spiritual life, where I started to, through the practices of yoga, meditation, etc., but also therapy and coaching and some painful experiences, I started to realize that the identification with Craig White from England, who plays a certain role, was only a snapshot of the true reality of life. And my practice of meditation in particular led me to the realization that, yes, matter does exist. The body does exist, but at the same time, I'm also an energy, and I'm also
Mm-hmm.
expansive, and there's also something incredibly infinite
Yeah.
that we experience as human beings. Call it God, call it the quantum field, call it consciousness, whatever we want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to have a felt sense of that reality.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's almost the start of my spiritual life, where I think, I've never felt like this before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was raised as a Catholic and
Yeah.
religion, but I've never felt, whoa, there's so much potential here that I've not even peeled back yet.
Mm-hmm.
Did that start to happen for you?
Yeah, that during that process, so still in sport, really, because I was raised atheist. You know, we never went to church. We never talked about spirituality, God, any of that sort of stuff. And so my journey into sort of spirituality started, I think, as my identity started to fade away.
Yeah, yeah.
With the help of coaches and plant medicines and things like that.
Go into that, because I want you to share with me what helped you to navigate that world, because it's a whole new reality, isn't it? It's like, whoa. And then we go into things, don't we? We try things. What things did you try that helped you to deepen your spiritual life?
Yeah, I think that it came at my lowest point still in sport. And, you know, I'd had a couple of people mention that they were involved in sort of the psychedelic world, and people who I respected in the field, actually. And so that gave me the impetus to think, okay, well, maybe we can try this. Read the Michael Pollan book, you know, How to Change Your Mind, you know, to do my research on it. And starting with psilocybin, you know, doing some big psilocybin journeys, because just something had to change.
And I'm guessing you did some research, because I mean, you've got a PhD, you've
Correct.
been trained academically,
Yeah.
so I'm guessing you checked it out first of all.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, and the protocol we used was the Johns Hopkins research protocol. You know, the dosing, they built a playlist. You know, all these sorts of things that very, very well researched, and looked into the benefits around, you know, identity and depression and all these sorts of things, and people in a single journey, you know, being able to sort of come off antidepressants and all these things. So just felt there was something profound out there, and knew that I was going to need something to shift my own paradigm, you know, of how I felt internally. What I wanted was a more rich experience of life. I think growing up, I hadn't really allowed myself to have access to the higher level feelings of joy and excitement and all these positive emotions.
Yeah, for sure.
Had spent a lot of time in the lower energy emotions.
Survival emotions.
Yeah, and very comfortable there, you know, and I think that remains my struggle, is to bring myself up here. Yeah.
So I know that you did a lot of psychedelics, so that phase was good for you, right?
Excellent. Yeah. And that's ongoing.
And you went into it as a we with your partner.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah, so Michelle and I both, same weekend, both got into it. And then
you got in touch with me.
That's right.
And then you came on our Iconic program, and we went to Peru.
That's right.
How was that?
Mate, it was fantastic. I'd been, obviously we've sort of had parallel careers, as you said, in sport.
Yeah.
And so we'd been in the same sort of universe. And then I'd watched as you'd come out into Men Without Masks with a lot of interest.
Yeah.
But from afar, because I was still scared of that, you know.
How many months or years did it take you to pluck up the courage to contact me?
Probably until this year when we met, mate. Yeah. It was at that time I'd been through a number of psychedelic journeys and done a lot of work there on sort of reacquainting myself with my emotional side, sensitivities.
Yeah.
Because that's the side that gets pushed down in sport. You're not emotional. No. You're allowed access to anger, and that's about it.
Yeah. Got to be tough, haven't we?
Exactly right.
And we're in a mask of toughness.
We're tough. Yeah. And then I thought it was really then time to start accessing more of the healthy masculine energy. And as I was starting to think that, that's when I saw the retreat come up on LinkedIn. That's when I reached out, and again, a terrifying moment, but one I thought, well, all right, we got to go. Fuck it.
So you came with me and the other guys to the mountains of Peru.
Yeah.
And the incredible Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
Every man's experience is different. What did you get out of it? Sorry, Jeremy. Before I want to say that is, you were fearful, but you did it anyway.
Yeah.
Which is a message to men. I mean, there's so many men inquire about my programs, and then they seem interested, then Mr. Fear knocks on the door, and I don't see them again.
Yeah.
You did it. You made the jump. What did you get out of the experience of all the work that we did? That, you know, the retreat itself, all the movement practices, breathwork, meditation, connection, partner work, hiking, nature, shamanism, Machu Picchu. But what did you get out of it?
A connection back to myself. I think that was the big thing, you know, a realizing, you know, as you do a lot of the partner work, how much I'd been projecting on other men in particular. You know, I think I'd had a challenging relationship with men in authority.
Yeah.
You know, projecting so much.
Yeah.
And I had a realization moment in the retreat portion where, like, I was looking at this man in front of me, and like, he knows nothing about me that I haven't told him, or that I haven't energetically taught him about how he can treat me. You know, and I'd think coming into the retreat center sometimes in the morning, like, oh God, they don't want to hear from me, or this and that. And it's all in your own head.
Yeah.
All of it. And then the work with the dance therapy that we do, and you know, you've shared all this
movement
stuff.
therapy, not dance therapy. Don't scare them off.
Okay. Don't be scared. It's okay. But I mean, that was one of the things I was, I think, most scared of.
And you loved it, didn't you?
But oh, mate, loved it.
You got in touch with your funk.
Yeah, I certainly did. It's the playlist that did it for me. But all of this stuff, this self-consciousness that you've had, and you just realize that no one's looking at you.
No.
And if they are, who cares? You don't know them.
Yeah.
So that was a huge part of it. I've kept myself very, very regulated in a very sort of narrow band.
Yeah.
Whether it's dancing, whether it's physical expression, whether it's emotional expression. I think it's what made me good at my job.
Yeah.
Is that I'm unflappable. But what that meant for me was that I had no richness in my experience.
And no range.
Not yet. Well, that's what I mean in richness.
Often I talk about
highs
range,
or
and
lows.
a friend of mine, Chris, who's a coach, talks about the importance as men, as reclaiming our range.
Yes.
You know, we can be a commander sometimes, we can be empathic, we can be soft,
Yeah.
we can be playful, we can be hard, we can be stoic,
Yeah.
we can be spontaneous. Because that range, for me, enhances the richness of life.
Yes.
But we have to reclaim some of those expressions because we've repressed them growing up in childhood.
Yeah, and I think being able to do that in a safe container with a group of other men, you know, because that's sort of where you're generally not safe to do that.
Yeah.
Was a healing experience.
Yeah.
You know, it really allowed you access to it, and access to it when you get home.
Yeah.
Right.
Talk to me about the medicine of connection with other men, because we're still going. As you know, we have a WhatsApp group, we have Zooms every 3 weeks as part of the program, and you seem to be one of the guys that really benefits from that group, because you know you're not in the UK, you're in the US.
Yeah.
And talk to me about men and the importance of other men in our healing journey, in our life journey.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, look at the suicide statistics, Craig. You know, it's men our age, high achievers, high performing men.
Yeah. It is actually. I don't know if it's the same over here in the UK. The highest rates of suicide between 45 and 56.
Yeah. Yeah. And the frontier type guy, that the ones that are out front, leading, tough, but then where do they turn? You know, we alluded to it a little bit with the performance director role of isolation. Who do you talk to?
Yeah.
And we don't have those gatherings of men like we've had throughout history, the hunting parties, the socialization, it's sort of become a little frowned upon. And, I think with the sort of evolution of however you want to call it, but toxic masculinity, people think that you're in these sort of environments, being all toxic, but it's the healthy expression of male energy and being able to, like I told you at the start, this week's been a struggle.
Yeah.
Being able to say that to someone and if you want some help, it's there.
Yeah.
But if you don't, somebody's just holding it for you, listening.
Yeah.
It's been immense. And look at the diversity we've got in our group.
Yeah.
Right? People struggling with all sorts of stuff.
Of course.
And also people who are still sort of on top of the world, again, from an external perspective.
Yeah.
And so to have that diversity and it be sort of a level playing field for everyone, where you just get to share and receive support, whether it's, on the Zoom calls or whether it's on the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
It's incredibly valuable.
It is.
Because we don't always all have that in our life. I certainly don't here. We're relatively new to town. And you don't have a lot of male friends that you go out and do stuff with. So
there's such a paradox at the moment for men that I see, Jeremy, in my work. And this is the paradox. On one hand, there's a real fear of being seen. There's a fear of, wow, if I turn up with a group of men and they see me for who I am, fuck, they might not like me. They might reject me.
Yeah.
At the same time, there's an absolute longing inside of us to be seen. And the courageous ones that risk everything and go into the unknown are always rewarded 100% of the time. Whenever I've jumped into the unknown in my life, I've never, ever come out negative. I've never not been rewarded. There's always a reward, in my opinion, for going into the unknown and being courageous. It's such a paradox.
It is. I think it takes patience to get to the reward, though.
Yeah.
Like, how do you deal with these feelings, these sensations in your body in the uncertainty?
Yeah.
That's a real struggle. Yeah. And I think one of the things that when you go into these groups of men is being judged, right? Like, you're the only person that's ever done this thing you're ashamed of or cried, been emotional.
Yeah.
Everyone behind their mask is feeling that, but who's going to be the one that takes the leap?
Of course.
Right? It's a difficult thing.
It is, and it's a difficult thing. It takes a leap of faith.
Yeah.
In the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of men that have been through my programs, there's not one man that's not benefited. But it takes a leap of faith.
Well, and I think it's testament to the container you create, though, because that's why we go.
Yeah.
You go on that retreat knowing that this is a space, and that's why we're all showing up. I certainly thought, session number one, well, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
I'm not holding back.
Yeah.
So sort of tried to, because I've been on other retreats, and it's almost like the first person to cry sort of gives permission to everyone else to do it.
Of course.
So, really sort of thought, all right.
And the first person to laugh gives permission to laugh.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Right. And I say cry, but the whole range, same deal. Like, the first person that's really vulnerable.
Yeah.
Okay, now I can be. And so, in Peru, I really tried to embody that because the example had been set to me in another retreat. But that's what we're there for.
Of course.
And if everyone's there, then it's sort of safe.
Yeah.
But, if you're at a dinner party, you don't know who's ready for that.
For sure.
Right? And somebody's probably got their defensive mask on, where if you're real vulnerable, they're not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
So it's difficult.
The other paradox is around psychological safety, because it's obviously a buzzword in sport, in the corporate space.
Yeah.
The paradox is that psychological safety cannot exist without risking everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you risk everything, you share your story, and in the work that we do with men, it's always rewarded.
Yeah.
It gives permission, as you say, but you have to risk psychological safety
Yeah.
in order to build psychological safety.
Well, yeah, and psychological safety is how the culture or the environment responds to that risk.
Yeah.
If you take that risk and you get whacked, there's no psychological safety there, and everybody
For sure.
retreats, which is what happens in sport.
Yeah, it does happen in
We
sport.
talk
Correct.
about it,
Correct.
but
Yeah.
it isn't present behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we talk, it's welcome to the Maple Leafs family.
Yeah.
Well, who was the last family member that got fired? Right? Like, it's not a family, it's a business. And it's one that can change overnight. Hire a new coach. Doesn't matter if you've done a great job, a terrible job.
Yeah.
If the new coach wants a new person, they get a new person.
Yeah, for sure.
So how do you take a risk in that environment where you're disposable?
Well, especially when it's not modeled by the directors.
Correct.
Or the head coaches. They have such a pivotal role.
Mm-hmm.
I have I'm fortunate enough to work with some head coaches that demonstrate the capacity to risk everything and put the neck on the line and be vulnerable. It's always rewarded for them.
Yeah.
It's just a breath of fresh air for the players that they coach, and it builds psychological safety from the top down.
Oh, I've seen the impact of the opposite on players.
Yeah.
Year after year.
Yeah.
You know, from us standing and watching an assistant coach have a heart attack on the court, you know, and he gets wheeled off in the ambulance, and the coach says, "All right, Jeremy, line him up, get him warmed up."
Yeah.
You know, and these guys have just been traumatized by this thing, you know, or the players that are just left out of the squad, not communicated with, they're isolated. You know, you see the damage that can be done in those environments.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just not modeled.
Yeah. Interesting he is saying that, because rugby does seem to be a sport that's going in the right direction. I guess a lot of sports aren't. And some of these American sports, there's so many people involved. It becomes so big that it's difficult to develop psychological safety. But in rugby, it's definitely going in the right direction. Let's jump into where you're at now. And let's talk about the word vitality. When you told me that you was a vitality coach and you help people to reinvigorate the vitality in a holistic way in the company that you're creating, I was buzzing for you, because you know, I call myself a leadership coach now. I just like, you know, the men who I attract like that. You know, they see themselves as leaders, and leadership is a big area. But one vital component of leadership that is not, you don't see in the Harvard principles of leadership, is energy.
Yes.
And vitality. I mean, for me, without my vitality, I'm nothing. The way I live my life is geared predominantly to my vitality.
Right.
Talk to me about vitality and your role now as a vitality coach, what you do, the elements. Talk to me about that. Why vitality?
Yeah, it's really interesting, because I think it largely comes out of my experience in professional sport on a number of levels. First of all, my own vitality, physically in good shape, financially in good shape. You know, like you said, got the glittering career and the role that everybody thinks you're a legend for having. But exhausted. You know, you're sleep deprived. Your mental health starting to suffer. You don't have the fulfillment. And so there's this acknowledgement that vitality covers your whole well-being. And our limiting factor within that is different. Mine might be my mental health. Yours might be that your knee hurts.
Yeah.
Right. And either one.
My sleep shit.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And it could be any part of your lifestyle, including your leadership and your career work. Right. And so that's really where the role as the performance director and my own lived experience fed into Vitality Collective. So I spent 20 years really, as I said before, sort of shifting organizational culture. And what I was shifting was from a reactive model where you wait till the athlete shows up either with an injury or pain,
Yeah.
and then you rehab them. You treat them and rehab them back to play.
Yeah.
We had to move to a much more modern and multidisciplinary approach where we were going to prevent those injuries in the first place. If you keep your athletes on the field, you win games, number one. But it also creates a vitality and a longevity in their career. So we were able to, with the Maple Leafs, we went 3.5 years without having a single injury. And so it shows the power of when you change the mindset. First of all, that it's possible to prevent injuries, because there was a very entrenched mindset that they're just a part of sport.
Yeah.
So we built that system by flipping over every rock you could to get them back to optimum. Like say you play every 3-4 days, right? So you're going constantly. How do we get them back to optimum in a very, very short turnaround? And that for me looks like vitality. So come out of sport and you look at healthcare and it's the same thing, right? We wait till you get sick. We watch you get sick over a decade. Your blood sugar's going up and up and up and up and up and up. Now you got diabetes. Now I'm going to do something about it. Like, well, what was happening down here? Right. And you've got medicine being asked to do a job that it's just not designed to do. Right. And so now we're basically damming the river with medication. And so we need to now shift healthcare into that proactive system where we're prioritizing everyday vitality. You shouldn't be in pain, right? You shouldn't be tearing your hamstring as a CEO. And so these high-powered executives, they're running like head coaches in sport.
Of course.
And they're flaming out.
Sure.
Yeah. And so how can we be proactive and create that same system of how we took care of elite athletes and bring that into everyday healthcare for executives and everyday people?
Great. So what are the components of your methodology then?
Yeah, so we're looking at early cancer detection. And the thing we know about cancer is we're probably not going to prevent it, but if we catch it early, we can do something about it. So multiple data points that we triangulate and basically yearly we screen you for cancer. We look at cognitive decline through a number of things, both how fit is your cardiovascular system, we directly measure with EEG how your brain's performing, and we've got various training and supplementation programs to help cognitive. We look at your cardiovascular health. So on the medical side, it's very much peace of mind, but the big thing that's actually going to impact your vitality and longevity is how well are you conditioned. And so that's the core of our program. We have a very, very comprehensive musculoskeletal program with physical therapy, as well as musculoskeletal testing. Training program that's twice a week. You know, we really build the habit of building strength work into your program.
Great.
And one of the critical components of longevity is avoiding frailty, which we do by being strong. And then your cardio work, so we measure your VO2 max, and we know that if we move you from the bottom 25% to the top 25% in your age group for VO2 max, we're about 400 times more effective than a statin, right? For prevention of heart disease.
And you're going to live longer, which is obviously something big in this part of the world.
Well, not only live
Longevity.
longer, but better. I think it's more better days. Right? If we focus on the better part, we'll get the longer part.
More better days, I love that.
Yeah, but if we only focus on longer, you get this big drop off, and we can string you on for years, right? Just enough.
Of course.
But you don't want to live like that. That's the thing. Like, people lose access to the things they love doing. Your quality of life is so poor, and your health deteriorates with it. As soon as you lose your mobility, as soon as you lose access to those things that keep you going, cognitive decline happens, your cardiovascular system starts shutting down, metabolic system just starts shutting down, you become insulin resistant, and the cascade, it sort of starts quite slowly, but then quick drop-offs once you sustain an injury, maybe have your knee replaced and you never quite get back to where you were. That sets you up for a hip replacement on the other side and a back injury. And, it's just this cascade of events that just compromises everything in your quality of life. So if we focus on today, what do we need to address to get you to optimum? will keep these optimum systems going, and longevity, as I said, will be a byproduct.
Yeah. Sounds like an incredible mission to move into, mate.
It's been so good. First of all, building the system out here and really shifting, how a physician might practice medicine, or how I look at, I've gone from high performance and how do we get this 1% here? Mate, we're seeing people get 50% improvements over here. So it's so rewarding.
Yeah.
And really changing people's lives and impacting their longevity.
And you're getting to coach again.
Exactly right. Exactly. With people who they just want it.
Yeah.
They're starving for it, and they love it when they can do it. You take a 7-year-old man, had hand surgeries and, a hamstring injury, and he loved heli skiing.
Yeah.
That first time he goes back to like an off, he's gone backcountry and he's hiked up the mountain with full ski gear, and he's with his kids and a group that are 20 years younger than him, and he can do it.
Yeah.
Man, like you changed his life.
Of course. What message would you give to any man or woman who is in a role, which could be a vocation, it could be related to another aspect of life, and they know it's not for them anymore, it's an old version of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're on the verge of a new chapter, but they're afraid to step into the unknown. What advice would you give to that person?
I think start the work right away of moving in that direction. You don't have to leap, right? It doesn't have to be a moment. If it's that scary, and some people have very real circumstances, like you're the breadwinner, right? And you're at a certain level, you've got kids in school and all these things. But if you start moving in that direction, you make the plan, you can transition into something like good enough becomes handcuffs. Mm-hmm. You can transition into something that is so much better. Blow your ceiling away on your earnings, your vitality, your happiness, your fulfillment, how you are with your family when you get home. Yeah. All of these things can be so much better than good enough. Yeah. And I think everybody deserves that. They've got to make that transition into better. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I'm going to steal a bit of free marketing here too. What would you say to any man that listens to our experience on this 7-month program called Iconic, which involves a 10-day trip to Peru?
Yeah.
What would you say to any man that's thinking, wow, that sounds interesting, but then fear kicks in. Oh, will they like me? Is it for me? Am I the type of man that goes on this?
Become that kind of man. Be the leader. Yeah. Like, don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the right time, because it doesn't exist. Yeah. We were just starting this business when I came on that. We didn't have the money to do it, but it was so important that I did it. Yeah. Like, breaking through these barriers, like, these are the hard things. Yeah. But on the other side of really difficult things is just a whole new experience of life for you. Mm-hmm. And, I have spoken with some people who have been sort of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Yeah. And I've just told them, like, if you have any inkling that you want to do this, go and do it.
Yeah, of course.
Just go and do it. Yeah. Let go, embrace it. And you'll, as you said, you'll be rewarded for it, because it's a wonderful experience. Yeah.
Got one more question for you to wrap up our conversation. Who is Dr. Jeremy Bettle 1 year from now?
Oh, great question. He is a successful entrepreneur. He is somebody who leads with his heart, who is an example of all the things he lacked in his leaders that he worked under. I want to be that for the people who work for me.
Great.
And for the clients that come into our system.
1 year from now, I'm going to sneak one more in. One, because it's part of the work that I do, and I like this question. 1 year from now, what are the emotions that you feel most of the time in your body?
They're not static, for one. I will continue to work towards much more experience of joy, gratitude, peace. Peace as a baseline, I think.
Yeah.
You know, but range, I think, is the important thing, Craig. That's what I've been pushing for.
Yeah.
I don't mind if it's the lower energy emotions, but I want to feel okay feeling them, which is currently a struggle for me.
Yeah.
But it's equally a struggle for me to feel these ones up here.
There you go.
Right? I want the range, is what I want.
Good answer. Well, Dr. Jeremy, I know you don't like that because you're very humble, but I'm going to call you Dr. Jeremy from now on.
Great.
I've loved this conversation. Thanks for being so honest and raw. And where can our viewers, my viewers, find out more about you and your work?
Yeah, so our website, vitality-collective.com, and LinkedIn. I am endeavoring to become much better at posting on LinkedIn with your encouragement.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn, Dr. Jeremy Bettle. And that's usually the best place to find me.
And for the people in this part of the world, you know, Santa Barbara, San Francisco, Los Angeles, do you have a message for those guys in relation to the work that you're doing?
Yeah, you know what? It's time. Like, you can't delay this. We've got a lot of people with the resources to have wonderful health experience who aren't taking advantage of that. And, you know, my role within this community is to help people leverage the resources they have available to them, large or small, into their health and their vitality. And, you know, having experience at all ends of the performance spectrum now, you know, I think people have got to start taking charge. The healthcare system's not doing it. So we got to get you going.
Yeah. Thanks, mate. Well, it's been an honor, and I look forward to having lunch with you.
I can't wait, Craig. Thanks, mate.
Hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I will see you on the next one.